Angels win 3-1. They improved to 43-57 on the season, and they take the first of the 3-game series against those hated Seattle Mariners. Let's go over the scoring plays. Cal Raleigh singles to center to score J.P. Crawford. That makes it 1-0 in the first, but the Angels come up huge in the eighth. Taylor Ward hits a sacrifice fly after a double steal to score Joe Adell, and Joe Adell singles to center to score 2 in the ninth inning. Angels get the win. No, it didn't make me feel better. I just wanted to try that out. Maybe if the Angels were better, maybe then it would have made me feel better. No, that didn't help at all. That helped a little. Bryce Miller was fantastic tonight. Bryce Miller was absolutely sensational tonight. Victor Robo's got a couple hits. We'll talk about something else if I make it through this. Simply Seattle provides the very best in Seattle sports gear stuff for the Mariners, the Seahawks, the Kraken, the Storm, the Sounders, the Supersonics. You can find it all at Simply Seattle. And no matter what sport you're shopping for, use code MOLLYWOP15, MOLLYWHOP15 to take 15% off of your order. There's a link in the description. Thank you so much, Simply Seattle. Let's talk about a couple of things first. The Ty France thing, and I wanted to wait for some clarity, but it sounds like this is a weird situation, and it's a stupid thing that they put in the CBA that makes this possible. It's so awkward. It's so incredibly awkward. I will just say this. I am appreciative of what Ty France brought this baseball team for a couple of years, 3 years. And I appreciate him always. He was a very likable player. He just isn't good enough right now. Not even close to good enough. He doesn't help you offensively. He doesn't help you defensively. He doesn't help you on the bases. So while I am disappointed that is true, it's true. They made the right decision. But I hate that he is in this limbo spot right now. That's dumb. It's a dumb thing that got put into the CBA. You saw a similar thing happen with Kevin Kiermaier earlier this year, and Kiermaier ended up staying with the Blue Jays. I don't think Ty France is staying with the Mariners, so could be wrong, but it sounds like this is to give him his walking papers. But of course, they're not just going to release him. They're going to pray that someone claims him so that they don't have to pay him that money. J.P. Crawford has a fractured pinky. He's going on the injured list. Bummer. Yeah. I don't like seeing people get hurt. And JP Crawford hasn't been anywhere close to good enough to be hitting at the top of a lineup. But it's a bummer. It's a bummer. It really hurts your depth. Really hurts your depth on a team that has very little of it. Gosh, Bryce Miller was good. And gosh, the rest of this team stunk. Here are the three guys who I think can say, well, I had an okay day. Now, they prefer to win. I'm just going to make that abundantly clear. I think even with Victor Robles' throw, and it wasn't a good throw. By the way, I saw some people suggesting that Victor Robles is a bad defensive player. I very much disagree with that. Made a bad throw. Hit the mound. By arm value, Victor Robles has been as good of a thrower as any outfielder in baseball. So that stinks that it happened. He wouldn't have gotten the runner at home anyway. But it did allow another run to score. And the Seattle Mariners certainly weren't scoring two tonight. But a couple hits. I think he played fine. Big Dumper got on twice. Didn't strike out. Only Mariner who didn't strike out tonight other than the guy who got hit. By the way, that was a changeup, and it still broke his pinky. That's awful. That's just a bummer. Okay, so Big Dumper can sleep easy. I think Robles can mostly sleep easy. And Bryce Miller was fantastic. He can sleep easy. Andres Munoz can sleep easy, but boy, you really want to strike out in that situation. 1-0 game. Your fireman's in. And with how fantastic he's been all year, it's asking a lot, but it stinks that he gets a blown save for that, by the way, but I don't think he was at his best. I don't think he was close to his best, in fact. But, he doesn't give up a hit. He just gives up the sac fly, and then a really nice play by Dylan Moore, who we will talk more about. Ryne Stanek can't pitch in a high leverage situation again for a very long time. And I realize that they are being cautious with Gregory Santos. That is their, the guy that they want for this sprint. That's getting close to a sprint. Scott Service mentioned it in the presser. We'll talk about that as well. This might be a long video. I don't know. Could be really short too. But he's not available on back-to-back days. But it can't be Ryne Stanek pitching in those situations. It can't be. And who should be if Gregory Santos isn't available? Someone you trade for. Someone you acquire. The decision to pull Service after it was no longer a save situation was not my favorite. I would have let Munoz go. But it's not the reason they lost the game that they pulled. It was, well, it definitely wasn't the reason they lost the game. It didn't help, though, because Trent Thornton was awful. Command was awful. Oh, and let's get this out of the way, too. I can't remember who was behind the plate tonight, and I think it was Mike Estabrook. Awful. Horrendous on both sides. Just a dog turd. Absolute dog, cat, whatever animal you want turd behind the plate. He sucks. And the great thing is, I believe that we get Laz Diaz tomorrow. Oh my gosh. It's a problem. I've done my best not to talk about it, but it's a problem. But at the time, I didn't mind the decision to pull Service. At the time, I didn't mind the decision to pull Munoz, excuse me. That might have been a Freudian slip. I don't even know where I'm going with this video. I am this weird combination of beaten down by this team and pissed off. And this is what you get when you don't script these things either. You just come on, you plug your microphone in. Did I plug my microphone in? Yep. And you just ramble about, you have one format. You talk about the bad first when they win, and you talk about the good first when they lose. That's all I have. Sometimes maybe these videos aren't so good. But the bottom of the order, the mid to bottom of the order today. And look, Luke Raley was bad after he replaces JP. Jorge Polanco was bad after a couple of nice games. Big Dumper gets on a couple of times. From Garver to Class A, and I know Class A did end up getting the infield single. This offense was, I don't even know if I can say a strong enough word. I say awful too often. This is an insult to awful. All of Mitch Garver's at-bats are non-competitive right now. All of Dylan Moore's at-bats were atrocious. And, you know, I know the Mariners love Dylan Moore, and Dylan Moore has been one of their more effective hitters, and that's sad. But since the start of June, Dylan Moore has been really bad. Really bad. And tonight was pathetic. And folks, that's going to be your starting shortstop for a while. And he filled in with a plum the last time he did it. So we'll see. But I don't have any hopes. Not based on what I've watched. Had a nice day on Sunday, but for the most part, Dylan Moore has been wildly ineffective. Let me give you Dylan Moore's numbers, the guy this team just loves to tout. Since June 1st, Dylan Moore has hit 196, 269, 348, and he struck out in 35 of 105 plate appearances. That's before today. So that's now 39 because he went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts today. Now 39 strikeouts in 109 plate appearances since June 1st. Yuck. Yuck, 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 yuck. And that's just the perfect descriptor of this offense. 14 strikeouts today. Oh, we didn't get to Mitch Haniger and Josh Rojas stunk. You know, I am behind the decision to put Ty France on waivers because I don't think Ty France is good enough. But some people have called him the scapegoat. And, you know, maybe they're not wrong because the rest of this offense is garbage. The rest of this offense is just really bad. Thank God for Victor Robles, Who thought we'd be saying that on July 22nd? Because outside of him, and a nice little streak from Big Dumper, and of course Julio out of the lineup with the ankle sprain. But tonight, outside of him and an RBI single from Dumper in the first, you are an absolutely pathetic offense. If you're looking for a positive, by the way, Oakland won over Houston, so this division still tied. You have everything to play for over these next 60 games. Everything. That change quickly if things don't change quickly. You've lost 4 of 5 to the Los Angeles Angels, an objectively bad baseball team. Sure, Tyler Anderson has been really good. Sure. Absolutely. Tyler Anderson is going to, if the Angels are smart, get them quite the handsome reward before the deadline. Is there anyone else that you'd really want for the Angels on the Mariners? Now, some of these guys might be better than what the Mariners have. Sure. But would you be happy with the outcome of upgrading to these players? The only one I could think of, Logan O'Hoppe, and I'd prefer Big Dumper because Big Dumper's defense. I want no part of Anthony Rendon. I want no part of Nolan Shannywell right now. Taylor Ward would be a fine fourth outfielder, but no thanks. Willie Calhoun, no. Mickey Moniak, no. Brandon Drury, no. Zach Neto, no. Well, maybe. And Joe Adell, sure. Sure. But that's partially because I just really like Joe Adell. I'm seeing this as a 17.5-minute video, and I don't think I've said anything substantive in the entire thing. And that's okay. That's okay, because I'm just like you. I'm just as frustrated and just ticked off that it's possible that they're going to waste this starting rotation. I wanted to mention Scott Service press conferences. He looked very upset, and he should be. And I'm not saying he's without blame whatsoever. I don't know how much blame goes on him. There's a lot of you who really don't like Scott Service, and that's fine. I am not one of those people. I don't think he's the best manager in baseball. I far from think he's the worst, but there are many of you who disagree with that, and that's okay. But I did kind of like seeing how ticked off he was. It's not going to change anything, but it wasn't phony. It wasn't a John McLaren thing. The phoniest thing I've ever seen in my life is the John McLaren thing. Absolute nonsense. It was so bad. So bad. The worst manager of my lifetime. And I've seen some bad ones for the Seattle Mariners. I really don't think Scott Service is a bad one. YMMV. Your mileage may vary. You might hate him, and that's fine. But I did kind of like seeing some fire in him. I'm really curious where they go from here, because this is not a short sample of crap. this is like a sixth of the year being a very bad baseball team. Let me do the math here real quick in my head. So they were 44 and 31 at their high point, and they're 53 and 49 now. That's exactly a sixth of the year. It's 27 games. They're 9 and 18 over their last 27 games. Yeah. That is a 54 and 108 pace for 1/6 of the season. It ain't good enough. It's not close to good enough. I did see some people suggesting that if things go south, that they could be sellers. Um, I guess it's possible if you're at the deadline and you're 5 or 6 out. Sure, I'm curious what you sell because you're not trading any of those starters for a rental pack as something to take steps backwards for the year. That doesn't make any sense. None of the relievers outside of Andres Munoz are going to elicit value, and I'm not trading Andres Munoz. And what bat does anybody want? You could trade Big Dumper for a haul. I'm not doing that. Not with, I think he's a free agent at the end of 2027. No, no. If somebody wants to overpay, sure. Sure. You give me a starting catcher and you give me some bats with some pitching prospects too. Sure. I don't think anyone wants to do that. And I don't think the Seattle Mariners should explore it. But you can argue that they should be in a seller's position. What are you selling? No, what you should be doing is looking to buy and looking to upgrade this year and looking to get pieces that can help you in 2025 as well. Nobody's asking for the Mariners to give up a ton for a rental. I don't even know who the big rental on the market would be. But you got to make moves. And you got to do it quick. I, I'm just frustrated, man. It goes back to Saturday's video when I talked about how I just wish I didn't have the emotional investment in this team sometimes. The good outweighs the bad, barely. But boy, the bad is tough. 9 and 18 over 27 games. And again, that's a 1/6 of the year. It's exactly 1/6 of the year. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. I I don't know.